what's up guys, Benny here and welcome to ranking the top 7 SMGs in Call of Duty Warzone from worst to best. Since the Black Ops Cold War integration, we've got a lot of weapons to choose from, and to be perfectly honest, with all the mislabeled attachments and weapons not working how they should, it's quite difficult to decide which ones to use. But don't worry, this video is going to teach you everything that you need to know about the 7 best SMGs, along with the best class setups for Warzone, so you can get all the wins that you can in Verdansk. Also, if you are new to the channel, please do go ahead and smash that like button and subscribe, as 72.2% of you watching are not subscribed to the channel, and you'll get better at Warzone, I promise. So in 7th place, we have the AK-74U, which honestly really surprised me, because in Black Ops Cold War multiplayer, the AK-74U is actually the best SMG in the game, and is the one that the pros use in the COD League. However, that just doesn't translate as well into Warzone, when players have a lot more health when they're fully plated, though it's definitely still a usable weapon, with it firing at a steady 696 rounds per minute, dealing 35 damage to the chest and then 56 to the head. And that headshot damage and raw damage per bullet is where the AK-74U really outperforms some of the other SMGs. But personally, I always look for weapons with a higher rate of fire with medium damage output, as it gives you a greater margin for error with an automatic weapon, as missing a single bullet isn't that big of a deal than with a slower rate fire of weapon like the AK-74U. It's one of the reasons that not many people use the Odin assault rifle, even though it hits like a truck. However, up to around 20 meters, the AK-74U still outperforms some of the more commonly used SMGs. And with the gun being a Call of Duty classic, it's still definitely worth using for a couple of matches if you're getting bored of the meta SMGs. But for now, the AK-74U is going to stay dominating the multiplayer meta, but not the Warzone one. Though, let me show you the best class setup if you do want to go ahead and use it. So this is the AK-74U class that you're going to want to have. On the muzzle, you have that GRU suppressor, sound suppression, damage range, a must-pick attachment. The barrel, you go for the 10.3-inch task force because it gives you increased damage range as well as increased bullet velocity. Like the VDV reinforced does give you the highest bullet velocity possible, but that effective damage range is more important. And the underbarrel, for recoil control, you have the Spetsnaz grip. The ammo you have is the 50-round drum mag, very similar to the fast mag, but has a faster ADS time. And then the stock you go for is the KGB skeletal stock, and that is the best AK-74U setup in the game right now. Now in 6th place, we have the MP7, and I'll be honest, I really struggled with deciding whether the MP7 should be 6th or 5th, and after you see both the placements, please let me know if you agree or disagree down in the comments. But the MP7 has been a favorite for a lot of people since Warzone first got released, with it being a great all-round SMG and one of the few that holds a pretty fast time to kill at all distances. And with the MP7 also having some of the easiest to control recoil out of all the weapons in Warzone, as well as a super clean iron sight, the MP7 was just the perfect weapon to pair with a sniper, and one of the reasons that so many people used it. Now, it doesn't have the best damage profile compared to the Cold War SMGs, with it dealing 40 damage for a headshot and 25 to the chest, but it still holds a pretty solid time to kill thanks to its 950 round per minute fire rate. But if you want to go ahead and use the MP7, definitely pair it with a sniper, because the MP7 operates really effectively in those short to medium range gunfights. Now, it doesn't dominate at any distance, but is incredibly versatile, which is why a lot of players enjoy using it. But let's go ahead and check the best class setup for the MP7. Now, this is the best MP7 setup that you can have, and I use the E-Flux blueprint because you're firing lasers which sort of make it very difficult for the person that you're shooting to be able to see. The muzzle you're going to have the monolithic suppressor, I've missed saying that. The barrel is then the FSS recon, damage range, bullet velocity, and recoil control, because the Modern Warfare attachments actually do what they say, which is a refreshing change from the Cold War weapons. Then you have the Merc foregrip. For the ammo, you've got the 60-round mag, and then the rear grip, you have the stippled grip tape, and that, for me, is the best MP7 in the game. Now, in 5th place, I've gone ahead and put the Fennec, which is why you'll understand why I struggled with this and the MP7. But in the game's current meta, I think the Fennec is actually a more viable and effective weapon. It actually has one of the fastest times to kill in the entire game, up to around 15 meters. And yes, that does include the Mach 10. Now, don't get me wrong, the Fennec does have some major flaws that are quite hard to overlook, with the mag size and slow reload time being one of the biggest factors. But other than that, this thing shreds if you're up against 1 or 2 opponents at a time. The Fennec is actually the best SMG in the game when playing solos, as you're only going to be dealing with 1 and at max 2 players at a time before you need to reload. In quads, it might struggle, however, but it shares the same damage profile as the MP5 with 40 to the head and 25 to the body, but at a much faster rate of fire at 1,085 rounds per minute, which is what helps make it so dominant at close range. Though don't try to take people down further than 20 meters away, as the time to kill drastically drops. But you've got your assault rifle for that, but let me show you the best class setup for the Fennec. Now, this is my best Fennec class setup. For the barrel, you're going to want that ZLR 18-inch deadfall barrel because it gives you all the increases that you want: damage range, recoil control, bullet velocity, as well as sound suppression and incredible attachment. Then the underbarrel, you go for the Merc foregrip right at the top there. For ammo, you go for the 40-round drum mag. Sadly, it's not that much and it's a slow reload as well, but it's all you've got to choose from. The rear grip, you then go for the stipple grip tape, and then the final attachment that we choose is sleight of hand, just to slightly speed that reload up. It's not much, but it does make a big difference, and that is my Fennec class setup. Then in 4th place, I've got the Bullfrog, which is an SMG that is very quickly becoming one of my favorite SMGs to use in Warzone, as it's massively underrated and is actually very, very good, and also a lot of fun to use. Now, don't get me wrong, I think the Bullfrog could actually end up ranking higher than this in the future if there are a couple of tweaks to the attachments. But one of the biggest things with the Bullfrog is how hard it hits with a solid rate of fire. 55 damage for a headshot and then 34 for a shot to the chest, giving it one of the fastest time to kills against anyone that's fully plated to around 15 meters without any attachments on the gun. But then you start combining all the other positives of the Bullfrog and it becomes insane. The fact that it's probably got one of the best iron sights out of all the Cold War weapons, which makes it incredibly easy to land your shots. The fact that it also has a massive 65-round mag, which in modes like trios and quads can allow you to take on full squads without needing to worry about reloading, which is a huge advantage. Now, the Bullfrog, I'd say, is definitely best under 20 meters. Any further than that and the time to kill drastically drops off compared to some of the other SMGs, which is why you need to make sure that you pair it with an assault rifle. But let me show you the best class setup for the Bullfrog, which is going to make it even better. Now, for the Bullfrog class setup, which is my favorite gun right now, on the muzzle, you have the Gru suppressor for sound suppression and damage range. Then on the barrel, you go for the 7.4 Task Force. It's pretty similar to most of the SMGs from Cold War, to be perfectly honest. The underbarrel is then the Spetsnaz grip, vertical and horizontal recoil control. The ammo you go for is the 65-round mag. It's all you need, to be perfectly honest, for trios and quads, and it's more than enough to take everyone out. And then the stock you go for is the KGB skeletal stock, and that is the Bullfrog class setup. Next, we have the Modern Warfare MP5, which was the gun that everyone used in Warzone for as long as we could remember before the Cold War integration. I mean, everyone had this thing in their loadout because it was quite frankly the most dominant weapon up close until the R9 Dragon Breath shotgun came along. And what's shocking to me is that it feels like it's just completely disappeared from Warzone, even though it is still quite clearly one of the best guns in the entire game. I almost feel like because all these brand new Cold War weapons have been added into the game, that the Modern Warfare weapons, and the MP5 especially, just isn't worth using anymore. And trust me, that is not the case. Its time to kill at close range still comfortably competes with the best Cold War SMGs, and even beats the Mach 10 up to around 10 meters, and its recoil is really easy to control. Then, when you look at the base stats of the weapon, it's still hitting pretty damn hard, with 49 damage for a headshot and 34 to the chest, with a rate of fire of 798 rounds per minute. I just wanted to stress that the Modern Warfare MP5 is still an absolute beast. So if you've not been using it for a while, trust me, go back and give it a try and you won't be disappointed, but this is the best class setup for it. Now, for the Modern Warfare MP5, you're going to have that monolithic integral suppressor, the underbarrel is going to be the Merc foregrip, the ammo is going to be the 45 round mag, then you're going to have the F-Tac collapsible stock, and then for the laser, you got the 5MW laser, and that is my favorite and best class setup for the Modern Warfare MP5. Then in second place, we have what is statistically the best SMG in Warzone, but isn't used anywhere near as much as the MAC-10 because it's a little harder to control. And another reason for that is the iron sight of the Cold War MP5 also just isn't anywhere near as clean as the Gallantry MAC-10 iron sight or even the Modern Warfare MP5. But when you look at the raw stats of the Cold War MP5, it should be the best SMG in the game without any question. It doesn't hit as hard as the Modern Warfare version, dealing 47 damage for a headshot and 33 for a shot to the chest, but the fire rate of 854 rounds per minute allows you to have a much higher damage output, leading to a faster time to kill. Now, just like all of the top 3 SMGs, in my opinion, they should be paired with an assault rifle. I don't feel like any SMG now dominates in those short to medium range distances to use with a sniper rifle like the FAR does. So when you're using this, definitely try to use something like an AMAX. But the one bit of advice I would give you if you decide to go ahead and use the Cold War MP5 is give yourself some time to learn how to control the recoil, and you'll see the benefits in the long term. But let's check out the best class setup. Now for the Cold War MP5, on the muzzle, you go for that agency suppressor, sound suppression, damage range. The barrel is going to be the task force barrel once again. Then for the underbarrel, you go for the field agent grip. The ammo is the 50 round drum mag that is the best one that you're going to want to have. And then the stock is the Raider stock, and that's the best Cold War MP5. And in first place for the best SMGs in Call of Duty Warzone right now is, surprise, surprise, the MAC-10. The MAC-10, to be completely honest, is just unbelievably good. It's got everything you want from an SMG in Warzone. The fastest rate of fire at 1,118 rounds per minute, which gives you that big margin for error where missing 1 or 2 bullets isn't really a big deal. It's got a fast reload time, which when you compare to the Fennec, allows it to be in the meta. And no, it doesn't have the strongest damage profile with 30 damage for a headshot and 25 for a shot to the chest, but that fire rate more than makes up for it, which helps it have that very fast time to kill, up to around 25 meters. And also make sure that you use the Gallantry MAC-10 blueprint because it gives you a much better iron sight than the default, which makes the MAC-10 even better. Now, as I said earlier, it's definitely an SMG you want to pair with an assault rifle or tactical rifle, as it does start to fall short at those medium ranges, especially when you compare it to something like the FFAR. That, as an assault rifle, is always going to come out on top as it sustains its higher damage profiles at longer ranges. But the MAC-10 is definitely the SMG you want to be using right now, as it's borderline overpowered and is really easy to use. But let's check out the best class setup for it. And finally, the best class setup for the MAC-10, the agency suppressor. The barrel, you're going to want that 5.9 task force. The underbarrel is the field agent grip. The ammo, you go for the 53 round drum. And then the final attachment on the stock is the Raider stock. And that is the best MAC-10 in Warzone right now. Let me know what you think about this video and the rankings that I've given everything. Thank you so much for watching. Subscribe if you're new, smash the thumbs up button, and I will see you next time.